What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast.
If you want to be successful, look inside.
We don't like sitting in the discomfort.
Then all of a sudden that day came when I got $20 and 2 free drinks to do a show, and I was like, oh shit, here we go, baby. You know?
Thank God she hasn't caught a chicken yet, because she'll tear her head off.
Don't be soft.
That patience is key.
If all my friends are winning, then it's going to make me want to win more.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a very special guest. She is a personal trainer and the CEO of Fit Body app. On top of that, she is a new mama. Guys, please help us welcome the one and only Anna Victoria. How are you? How's everything been with I know we kind of talk off the camera about your little one, you moving to Austin, telling us a little bit about that. I would love to dive in more. How's that experience been, especially during a time like COVID? I know that could be rough, and I know you mentioned your little one's 8 months old.
Yeah. You know, honestly, it's funny because when I was pregnant and mid-COVID and everything, it was like, it's okay. Like, it's all going to be good. You know, I'm so grateful, to be pregnant. But once I had her sure, there's probably some postpartum, kind of hormones going there, but that's when it was like, wow, like still so grateful as I was, like, just because of COVID and not being able to have her meet family and everything and seeing her grow so quickly and hit milestones. It's been hard because of that. I think more like mentally and emotionally than anything. And just not to have family support, but we're getting by and every day is getting better. So
are you real close with your family? You come from a big family?
I do. I'm one of 7.
Wow.
And
okay.
Yes. And I am number 6. So several already have, I have a niece and nephew that are 23 and like 22 years old, know? Yeah. That's my oldest brother's kids. So we're all, pretty close, like not physically, we live kind of all over the country, but like holidays are huge get-togethers and like, of course, like having babies and everything. And then my husband's side of the family is all in Italy. He's born and raised from Rome. And they're also, as you can imagine, Italian families are very, very close. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a half sister. She's 8 years younger than me, so I kind of understand where you're coming from. And it's just us two, though. Thank God, I couldn't imagine having another 5 brothers and sisters.
Josh? Yeah. No, I can't imagine.
But her father is Italian, and I mean he has 7 brothers and sisters, and I mean the but my mom has 5 brothers and sisters. He had 6, so it's like
wow.
Our family get-togethers were 150 people, all screaming over the top of each other because I'm Irish. My sister's Italian, so everyone's loud as shit. Everyone has to be, heard the most. Oh, man, it gets wild.
Amazing.
So, Anna, going into, kind of your background as a trainer and the CEO of your app, I would love to, talk a little bit about that because I'm sure that was a big boom for you during the whole COVID time.
Yeah, it was. And I kind of I feel so bad saying that, because
don't feel bad. Can't feel bad.
Thanks. But, we did pretty much double, our subscriber base. And
congrats.
Congrats.
That's huge. That is massive. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And don't feel bad because, look, the fact that you're getting people on there to be healthier and moving and get themselves off their minds, huge win.
For sure. No, and I agree. And that is what I try to focus on. And truly, any net profit that we have is put back into the business, and to build things that we are just we do everything for our customers and we listen to every piece of feedback and we're okay, we're always in development. Ever since the app launched December 2017, we have not stopped developing. So we're just always trying to make it better and, help people be able to live as healthy and have access to everything that they need, from home.
That's amazing.
So.
And that's what's most important too. It's the actual messaging behind what you're trying to do. And I think that's beautiful. Now I want to ask you, being a CEO and now being a new mom, and then during the COVID, how was that handling running the business, being a mom, and then during a time like this, handling all that? I'm sure somewhat anxiety and stress at times. How'd you manage to do that? And what are some of the things that you did to be able to, push?
Yeah, it was borderline impossible and very stressful. And so I haven't talked about this publicly yet, just because I am like a little bit apprehensive of like the backlash or I don't think that there'd be backlash, but just like judgment. But like we had to get a nanny, like we had to get help. There's no way that you can run a business, work more than full time. My husband and I work together. So it's not like one of us can be on a meeting and coordinate around the other. Like we're both, he's the CFO, I'm the CEO. Like we're both on calls at the same time. There was just no way around it without it, like impacting the business. So we had to get help. And again, because we don't have family nearby, like some people have the luxury of having family nearby, and like we don't have that. And so it was, push came to shove. It was the only decision that, made sense. So,
and in my own opinion, you should never feel bad about that.
I was about to say
number one in a time where people, more than ever probably need to focus on business while also taking care of their family, right? And people who are at home and who are working from home probably now more than ever understand that compared to when they were in an office. But also people need jobs too, right? You're also like supplying somebody a job.
For sure.
So for anyone who would give you any backlash, I think you can just give them a big middle finger and tell them to pound sand.
I think there's two things. Like first and foremost, like I didn't grow up with a lot of money. Like we were like very middle class, just, fine. But like the idea for me of like someone having a nanny, it was like, whoa, like you're bougie, like. Where
are you from?
Northern California, just a small town outside of Sacramento. And I was raised by, single dad. And I think just the perception of like having a nanny was like just so outside of my world, and
how dare you? You must be drinking champagne every morning and like walking around on pillows and having a valet pull up with your car every morning.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, I appreciate it because I do feel, like a little bad in a way, but like you said, we're also providing a job to someone, and she's amazing 100%. And now like a part of our family, and we love her so much. So yeah.
Well, and also too, like I come from a single parent home, but my mother, and to be honest, like she was stubborn as hell. She never wanted to ask for help. No matter, not saying that she could afford a nanny, right? But even like asking my grandmother who lived with us to, help was something she didn't really want to do. And, I think that this is, hopefully it seems to be something that across the board, not just with parenting, but also with business, with, social life, with everything, people feeling like they can ask for help, right? No matter whether you pay for it or whether it comes from a family member or whatever, like knowing when you need help and then going and seeking that help and getting it, is so important, right? Because at the end of the day, like if you and your husband need to run your business, then, the only one that's going to suffer from not having some attention is your kid. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So if you need to get that help, then get it.
Yeah, that's actually such a great point. I'm so glad you brought that up because I have also like reflected on that like, I would have had a million nervous breakdowns by now, like if I didn't have that help, like it would have been hurting me and it would have been hurting her as an extension. So it's really what's best for everyone. So,
and I feel like, especially in the world we live in as high performers, some things at the beginning is hard to ask for help. I know we were talking about this in another podcast because, as high performers and you built your business and you went through it on your own for a while. And then you're like, man, it's hard for me to ask for help because I've done it myself always. Or maybe it's hard to let go some of that trust because I don't know if I can trust them fully to do this and this and that. But then you realize like if you don't ask for help, you're not going to succeed to that level of caliber you want to get to. So for everybody out there, I'm like, you got to ask for help. I'm always telling people all the time, hey guys, part of why I'm doing the things I'm doing is because I ask for help. It's because I seek for help, and I had to get over that notion of like, oh no, asking for help, that's going to make me look weak. Or asking for help, that means I'm going to put a burden on somebody else. But no, guys, like extend the hand. You'd be surprised how many people would be like, yeah, sure, I'll help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally relate to that in a work sense for sure. There were, in times of us scaling and growing, I had to learn how to trust others to do that job. And I am just, oh gosh, I'm borderline obsessed with like the customer experience and taking care of my customers. And to hand that off to someone, I'm just like, it was so hard for me to trust that they would be taken care of as good as I could, which they were, you know, but like just that mental battle. One thing that I heard that really helped me kind of get over that is that if you don't ask for help, if you don't delegate, whatever way you want to look at it, is you create your own glass ceiling. You can only do so much as one human being. So you are limiting yourself just by default of not asking for help. And that is what was like, okay, it will even better serve my community if I have more help. So
I love that you said that, because I do want to dive into that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. You mentioned customer service, right? And at the end of the day, people come back to you and buy your product again or your service because of that customer service experience. Can you walk us through how your customer service experience is like, and how are you able to duplicate it to your team for them to keep that consistent as possible?
Yeah. So in the very beginning, 2013 was when I brought my first employee on, who was my little sister. She was, right. Yeah. She's still with us. She's now actually the director of operations. And she is like, I'll get into this later, but we recently brought on a chief of marketing, and she didn't know that we were sisters. And she was just like raving about her. Like, she is a gem. Where did you find her? And I was like, well, in my mother's womb.
So she's number 7, right?
She's number 7. Yes.
That's it. Lucky 7.
Yes. And her mind was blown. She's like, I had no idea you were sisters. Like, do you have any other siblings like her? You know, anyways. So she came on and started helping with customer service. And so what I did is I went through like, you know, a lot of emails, or just as I was replying to emails, I started building like a database, so to speak, of like, these are the most commonly asked questions. Here's what my reply would be. Of course, you need to tweak it to the individual. And then we brought on our second customer service person, and she just kind of, you know, carried that over to her. And as we brought on our third and our fourth, that's where we're like, okay, this Google Doc is like not really cutting it. We have to like build out a kind of more advanced, database for them to look through. And so we just kind of maintained that, but tried to like fine tune it as we've grown. Also because like what I was noticing, this is just a small side note, is some answers were becoming outdated as I've grown as a fitness professional, and like my knowledge has expanded. Like, when I started back in 2012, like the whole 6 meals a day was the thing, you know? And that is
you had to eat every 2 hours. You had to do it.
Right? You have to.
So I've had to go in and kind of update that based off of, you know, current research and things like that. So,
but that's great that you're, you know, taking the time to do the thing that, you know, unfortunately, to be honest, most coaches probably aren't doing, especially online, right? They're not going out there. They're not staying up to date on what's current in the field and what's really most beneficial for their clientele, especially when you're as successful as you are, right? Like, it's pretty easy it would be pretty easy just to mail it in and say, you know, I'm good. I'm collecting checks. You know, everything is fine, but that's not what you're out there to do. And, you know, that's honestly great. And it's such a breath of fresh air to hear, because, you know, that's exactly what I would hope more fitness professionals were doing, right?
Right.
And they're off time.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And I definitely, I would say for the first few years, I don't want to say I was set in my ways, but like just what I learned in the first early days of my fitness career and personal journey, it was like, this is it. And then once like research started coming out, and I was like, but like, wait, it takes a bit to get over your own ego, you know, and to be like, actually you were wrong. And it's okay to admit that. And science is always evolving. And, you know, it's important to acknowledge that. So I do unfortunately see people that do not, you know, that's not their thing, and that's
should
really
name some
unfortunate.
Names.
Oh God, I can't do it. Yeah. What is it? I'm blanking on it. The Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yes.
Is that correct?
So. Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm in the middle of the curve where it's like, I don't know everything, but I know enough to know that I don't know everything, you know? And I think that the people who haven't dove into that research and to see that like things are changing, or this is what you previously thought and this is what it now is, or it's tweaked, they still are like, they don't know that there's so much out there that like the answer to almost everything is always like, it depends, you know? Yep. Anyways, I could go on and on, but
I mean, you know, but again, it just goes to show your value, because you're sitting there saying like, I know a decent amount about a couple of things at least, right? But I don't know everything. And to your point, the smartest people in our field, in any field, right, are always going to say, we had Dr. Tommy John on, who is a legend. And one of the first things he said right out the gate was like, I really don't know a lot. And we're like,
and we're like, whoa.
You saved the sport of baseball.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? Because without pitchers, we wouldn't, in the surgery that he created, like we wouldn't be able to have baseball because no one would be able to throw the ball. So, and to hear that from him, you're like, okay, well, I definitely probably should say that more often than I do if he's saying it. So that's great.
Absolutely.
And that goes to show you, though, like why they continue to be great, because that's how humbling they are, to be willing to learn and be wrong. And, hey, maybe at that time, that's what we felt was right. And you know what? If it still helped people at that time, it helped them somehow, because that was the right information we had for that time. And then we keep evolving. So diving about evolving, I want to kind of, ask you, how has your app evolved? What are some of the things that you've changed from the beginning of your app to where it is today? I would definitely love to know.
Yeah, so it started as just like me, like it was Fit Body with Anna Victoria. They're the Fit Body app for short. And it had my workout, only one workout program, which was kind of like an extension of my guides. So my Fit Body guides launched in 2015, 12-week guides, but I had about 3 different ones. And then that's really how the app came about, is all of my girls in my community, they were like, Anna, we love this, but we want it in an app form, something that is easier to follow, because on a PDF, it was just like, static pictures, which is
we all
not
start somewhere.
Right. Yes. And so we, built the app for that reason. And I did have a meal plan section in it, but back then it was only the meal sets that was like, I am big. I'm a numbers person. I could calculate someone's macros all day long, or like tons of people with macros. Like I love doing it. And so what we did to offer a meal plan that was something that someone could come in and follow and have the right portions is we hand calculated out 100 calorie ranges of meal plans. So if you came in, use the calculator, I think it's the Harris Benedict formula. And so if you got to like 17 to 1800 range of your calories, all the way up to like 2400 to 2500, we hand calculated out 12 weeks of meal plans for all the portions of the day to total up to what that person would need. My team hated it. I loved it. The numbers person, I was like, I can sit here calculate all day. So that's kind of where the meal plan section started. And then there's like a calendar, and that was it. Fast forward, 3.5 years now, we just recently expanded to bring on 3 other trainers. So it's no longer just me, which I'm like, yeah, thank you. It's like so much pressure off of my shoulders, like not only for like just providing great content, but just like, overall, like the goal was never for it to be about me. It was about giving my community what they need to succeed. Yeah. And as our community grew, there's women from all over the world, all different demographics and all different fitness goals. And like someone who might want yoga, or someone who might want like powerlifting, I couldn't give that to them. Yeah. And I'm not going to pretend that
you're not pulling 500 pounds off the ground anytime soon.
No, not anytime soon. I mean, working on PRs and all that stuff, but I'm not going to pretend to like, have years of experience in like heavy lifting and powerlifting. So we brought on people who do, so the workouts, we now have 10 programs. We just launched our 10th program just the other day. And then the meal plan section, we now expanded to have an actual food tracker so that they can kind of like, MyFitnessPal-ish. And so they can track their food in the app. We still have those meal sets, but now we actually pulled every single individual recipe out of those meal plans just to allow people to kind of pick a la carte type thing. And we have over 300 individual recipes. We have something coming soon that I can't really speak to, but it is going to change the way that people work out in the app. Okay. So that's something
you drop some
exciting.
Hints? A little nugget in there.
It'll feel like I'm working out with you in person.
Ooh.
There, I'll save that. So that's kind of where we're at. As I mentioned, we haven't stopped developing since the very beginning, and I don't see us stopping anytime soon.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
No, and I'm going to tell you one thing, that the fact that you bring on coaches is amazing,
Yeah.
because I think one of the hardest things is, especially when you start this on your own, is you don't want your business to be dependent and people to know your business only because of your name.
Yeah.
And as you grow, it becomes harder to exit out of your business or even sell it one day, because your name is attached to it. And you see that happen a lot, so you have to like kind of figure out, how can I slowly detach my name, obviously knowing that I'm the one that owns it and runs it, but detach my name being the producer of revenue for this business, and understand that it's a team of other coaches in here that are bringing information value, and that's what you guys are paying for. It's the name of the app and what the app brings, not just me. And the fact that you're doing that, I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And just one other thing that I want to add that we have brought on that I'm really proud of is that we now have a registered dietitian and a physical therapist on the team that all of our customers get access to for like just included in their membership, because there were so many questions I was getting asked about diet, like personal trainers are not that's not their wheelhouse.
Say that again real quick. One more time.
Personal trainers are not certified to give nutrition advice. And as much as I love macros and I understand the basics, there's so much that I don't understand. And that is the role of not even a nutritionist. People say, oh, there's a nutritionist. I'm like,
I would be a
dietitian.
You could technically call it, like, I'm certified through Precision Nutrition, right? And they would, you would call me a nutritionist. But I'm never going out there being like, oh, you should have 7 ounces of salmon here and salt. You know what I mean? It's like, here's probably what you're around, probably the same thing you're doing. Like, here are general recipes that I really like. Like, you need to fit them within your caloric range, right? Based on portion size. But definitely under no circumstances would I go out there and tout myself as a dietitian.
Florida's pretty strict when it comes to the.
Oh, you'll get fucked down here. Yeah, no, it's
you guys are in Florida?
Yeah, Miami. Yeah, no, it's illegal in the state of Florida to tout yourself as a dietitian without the license.
Yeah. And so I get why some do it. I think that there's definitely they don't know any better, which is not okay. That's not an excuse, But and customers, I think that there's so many personal trainers out there that are offering that they think like, oh, that's a part of it. That's what I expect. And so I really tried to put it out there like, hey guys, this is what a registered dietitian would, be doing. So you have access to her. We can, answer general information, but if it ever goes beyond that, then, we have someone for you. Same thing for a physical therapist. Like, I was getting questions on injuries and this and that stuff. And it's just, that's not my place. I don't have that training. And I don't want to cause even more injury. So they have a physical therapist that they can access.
And I love the fact that you bring this up, because it's also a sign of relief to know that there's an app of quality out there like yours that, doesn't want to try to do all these things that are not in their scope of practice, and they're not scared to refer out their clients. And I tell people all the time, actually, some of the best trainers and the best people, whether you're online or in person, is those who have a team around them of people that can refer them out to, because your client will thank you later for doing that for them.
Well, not to mention, you want to make even more money faster, right? You refer out to other people. Guess what? Commission. Those people, commission, right? But even besides that, even if you didn't take commission, you don't think you giving someone else business is going to make them want to give you more business?
Right.
I never even had to attempt to try to get a client when I was in person, because my network of other professionals, whether they be doctors, dentists, chiropractors, massage therapists, I was referring all my clients to them. So much so that they're like, listen, we don't even have, you got to stop because we don't have any more room.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how I would get all, they'd be like, oh, we have someone perfect for you, right? Or, we know that you know someone who would be perfect for them. So help us out, right? And it's really understanding that it's not this zero-sum game, right? Whereas if you win, I lose. Or if Mendez wins, we both lose, right? There's enough people with enough money out here, and I mean, being here in Miami, I'm sure in Austin, you understand this better than anybody, right? There is an ungodly amount of money in this world. You just have to find the right people for what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to really put out into the world itself.
So Anna, now that we're on this topic, because now I'm interested, especially in the online world, what are some ways that you market to bring in, leads on the business side and to be able to serve them? And who's your audience?
Yeah, so it's funny because my audience is me, kind of like it's like and I don't say that because that was intentionally my audience. It's just what happened, because when I started on Instagram, girls started following me. At the time, I was living in Italy with my husband, or at the time boyfriend, and they were
He's
like,
not gonna
"Oh,
like
there's
that."
a girl." Right? But at the time, people follow me because of like Yes Fitness, but they're like, "Oh my gosh, this American girl that's my age living in Italy," and like I constantly was posting, all the sites and everything. And I think that, and then of course, like, because I just always shared very like transparently about my fitness journey. Like, I'm a personal trainer and sometimes I hate working out type thing, but like, benefits, etc. That just kind of like automatically grew my community and like attracted girls that were in the same space and in a similar time period of their life into my community. And so, but I will say that, like I said, as it's grown outside of, me or like women like me, which is always what I wanted, because I never wanted it to just be about like, me and like girls that I'm like, could see. I don't even know. I feel like it's so important to be accessible to anyone, no matter where they're at, no matter what their background is like. I played like softball in high school. You guys are talking about baseball, I played softball, and that's like my sport.
What position?
But, like first base.
Nice. Okay. I was a first baseman.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are you left-handed? You're left-handed?
I am, but I'm right-handed in softball.
What? Really? And they put you at first base?
Yes. I think because I'm super tall, 5'7", but I can like stretch a lot. Okay. So like
you look like you're lengthy.
Yeah, and flexible, so like I could just keep my foot on the base and like completely stretch out. So that worked for me.
I'm gonna steal that from you, actually, because my reason is just because I was fat and they didn't want me. I couldn't run. I couldn't run, so they were like, "Listen, fatty, just play." And I was left-handed, like, "Just play first base, fatty, and everything will be good." So I'm gonna steal you and be like, "Listen, I was just very long."
Yeah, I mean, hey, that works. But it's so funny you say that, because I too was like not a runner. It's never been my strong suit. And at first base, like you might have to, if there's a bunt, at home plate, you might have to run in a bit, but that's about it.
Mail it in. I'm not going for that. You can, he's getting it. He's getting to home. Yeah, I'm not running for that ball.
So are you smashing homers?
Oh my gosh. So in high school, I don't know what it was. I had a huge disconnect between like looking at the ball coming. Like I would automatically look out to center field and I would miss. I would strike out constantly. And then once I, graduated high school and everything, that's when I stopped playing, was high school, because I had to get a job, and support myself. I remember going to the batting cages one time and it just clicked. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the pressure, but I know. I was like, seriously, like after all this time, my dad was my coach, and like him always like being like, Anna, keep your eye on the ball. And just something, I don't know if it was maybe the pressure wasn't there anymore, but I was batting, better than I ever did in my life. So it's the way it goes.
Was softball the thing that got you to consider going into training and coaching and all that?
Oh no. Those were like two different worlds. Like I played softball in high school, just, as lots of kids do to stay active. I actually had to stop playing when I was 16 to get a part-time job. My dad said, if you want to get your license, you got to pay for your own gas. You're going to get a job,
I remember that.
And then in college, I also worked full-time while going to school full-time. I was completely financially independent the moment I turned 18. So I didn't have any time to like play sports or anything. But I will say that I think the lack of activity going into college, that contributed to the health problems I eventually started having, that turned me to fitness to start taking care of myself. For me, my entry into my fitness journey was about not at all how I looked, although like I would have loved to have like a flatter stomach. I just never thought it was possible. But I was having health problems, and seeing my dad be on medication for his entire life, I was like, I don't want to go down that route. So I want to try to do something about it. And that's when I started working out, trying to figure out how to eat healthy. And that's kind of what brought us here.
Here we are. Here's Anna today with her amazing app. No, it's so funny that somehow I always feel like as coaches, like we usually tend to jump into these coaching realms because of our past experiences or because some reflection of our family and us not wanting to go down that route or us having health issues. And you're seeing more coaches popping up more and more and more and more, you know, because they feel like, okay, this is a way I can work on myself. And then if I get into the field, I can also maintain myself.
Is it the free gym membership? I don't know.
Could be a little bit of both, right?
I don't. Well, maybe not because of COVID, because there's not a lot of gyms open up.
Definitely not.
But I don't know. I mean, we worked at Equinox, man. There's a lot of guys there. Like,
true.
Plenty of guys would come in and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna work like 10 until 4, and then I'm gonna get out of there." And I would be like, "You're gonna make it a week, a week." Like, all right, if you're showing up at 10 to 4, I'm gonna get so many clients because nobody's gonna be here. You know?
Right.
It's crazy, especially that we were. I don't know if you've worked in a gym before, but you know the gym environment was definitely like you'll see the turnover rate. Like,
at Equinox, for brand new trainers, it was over I think 75%.
Wow.
I probably 3.5 years at Equinox. I probably saw 250 trainers.
It was and we're talking managers as well.
I probably went through. I think I went through 6 or 7 managers.
Wow.
Did you start in person before you got into your app online?
I didn't. So because when I started my fitness journey, we actually moved to China.
From Italy to China, huh? How was that?
Yeah, well, so from China to Italy. So
those Instagram pictures changed.
They did, yes.
A lot more clarity, not so much smog.
So we moved to China fall 2012, and winter 2012 is when my, at the time boyfriend, he was like, Anna, like you really need to start taking care of yourself. It was also him. He was like, you're having health problems. Like, it's probably because you're eating goldfish crackers for dinner every night, And I was like, leave me alone. It's fine. It's delicious. But he's Italian. Like their food culture is very different from ours. It's very fresh and balanced without really even trying. And so he is one who encouraged me to start working out, eating healthy. And so I created—
What's your husband's name?
Luca.
Luca, shout out to Luca.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's funny because he's kind of kicking himself now because I'm the one that's like, like, and he's like,
went full circle.
It.
Full circle.
Yes.
And you're like, you're my business partner.
I do that.
Right.
I do that with my girlfriend. I'm like, oh god. Yeah. She's like, aren't we supposed to be cooking at home tonight? I'm like, shut up. I already got Uber Eats open. We're fucking ordering.
Yeah.
So what made you want to go into the online straight head that made you realize that was what you wanted?
Yeah, so it was, kind of an accident. And sometimes I say that and I'm like, should I be proud of that or embarrassed by that? Because very little of what I created was on purpose. Like it just kind of, I've always been someone that like, I will seize the opportunity that's in front of me. Like when I graduated high school, my friends were like, do you want to move to San Diego next week? And I was like, sure, let's do it. Once I was in San Diego, I went to University of San Diego and Luca was like, do you want to move to China this, fall? And I was like, let's do it, and I think that is what has served me best more than anything else. There wasn't any like, oh, I'm going to be Instagram famous and, make all this money on Instagram. It was purely, I was in China. I was in a completely unknown place. I didn't know anyone other than my boyfriend. I'm starting to work out. I kind of hate it, but like, I really want to give this my all. So like, there's this thing called Instagram where you post pictures. So like, I'm going to just post things that motivate me. It was kind of like a digital journal for me. And I was anonymous. Again, it wasn't about me. Like it wasn't to be like, I'm going to post pictures of myself. Like an influencer back in 2012 didn't exist. And so I just shared, like I said, things that motivated me, what I was learning. And because I was one of the first Instagram fitness pages, it just organically grew. That's not the page I have today. That's a separate one. I eventually branched off once I realized, okay, I do want to share more of like my personal journey. Or it was also that once I shared my transformation on that page, people were connecting with me so much more than like these kind of like random posts that I was doing. So that's what prompted me to branch off and create kind of like my own personal brand. So,
well, and you know what? It goes to show you that authenticity, right? And just being there to, like you were saying, you were showing your journey, right? You were just trying to educate people through the experiences that you were having. And I think too often nowadays, we talk about this quite a bit. I know Anthony tells all of his, you know, the clients that work with him, you know, that it is about being authentic. It's not trying to copy what someone else is doing, what someone else is putting out, how they're going about their business, what they're doing for their workout, what they're eating, you know, what time they're going to bed. None of that matters, right? What matters is what you're going through, right? And how in the learning experiences that you can share with others through what you're going through, right? And I feel like, unfortunately, some of the fitness industry has kind of gotten away from that, right? And started posting, you know, people smashing watermelons on their abs as they do sit-ups and, you know, backflips on Bosu balls while doing a power clean. And I think, you know, luckily there's people like you, like Mendes, like myself, who are really drawing the focus back towards learning experiences, right? Because at the end of the day, all of that shit is great to get attention, but none of it is going to move the needle in anyone's life. None of that.
There's a quote that I read. Let's see if I can get it right. I feel like anytime I'm put on the spot, I completely butcher the quotes, but it was something along the lines of, you know, from a business perspective, if you are looking at what the competition is doing, that is what represents the past. Your customers are what represent the future. Because if you're looking what they're doing, that's already been strategized and planned out for 6 months, and they're paying attention to what people were already telling them. And that's, just going to send you down a road of like, not standing out and doing something that's already been done, versus if you're listening to your customers, like that is what is the future. That's what hasn't been done yet that they're looking for. So that's another thing I try to focus on. I
love that because, you know, that's definitely one thing. And look, like I tell people all the time, obviously we're going to see people that, especially as trainers or so many, we're going to see people that work, you know, what you call competition and stuff like that. And look, there's nothing wrong with, getting ideas and getting little things from here to there and, you know, applying something you like. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start comparing and sitting there and like, man, but no, and this.
It's crippling too as well.
Yeah, and it messes with your mental psyche. And, you know, when you do that, it's unhealthy, you know, so you're absolutely right. You know, sitting there and doing that comparison with your competition and doing it like that constantly does jeopardize, first of all, your health, and also jeopardizes your growth, because then you take the focus off what your real mission is with your business, right? Because now you're trying to tailor it around what they're doing, and now the message can come across differently, and you don't want to do that either, which is definitely a route that you don't want to take as a business owner.
Right, absolutely.
So I want to ask you, kind of leading down to where things are going, what would you say is the biggest thing that you're looking most forward to when it comes to your business and your app now going into the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like if we could take 5 years and bring it down to like one, because like there's so much that changes. I could say 2. I feel like 2 is like the most we could look out to. So like I mentioned, we recently brought on a chief of marketing. She's amazing, has so much industry experience. And this is something that we've been working towards for the entire time, you know, because as much as I am so proud of what we have built, myself and my husband, up to now, we haven't had that industry experience, and everything has been like, this is what I think sounds great, whereas she actually like knows what she's doing and can really help us scale. So that was like a huge step for us. And then the next step would eventually be to bring on investors and to help us scale even more. I feel like we've really kind of brought the company to where it can be just on the 2 of us. And then there's like the next step is having that CMO on, and then to be able to go into pitch. And like you said, I mean, as much as I love what I do and I don't foresee me not doing this, who knows what the future holds. And I want to be able to set the brand up to where, we could, I don't want to say completely exit, but at least have it not be so dependent on me. And like, you know, it is physically exhausting sometimes. And I gosh, like as much as I preach like balance and like you don't need to have abs to be healthy, and like it's not about the physical results, 90% of people just want to see like rock hard abs, and that's what gets them. And I'm working hard to like try to change that perception. But another thing I've realized is like, if not to say that I give into any of those things, but if whatever that they're interested in, physical results, gets them in the door and gets them to a point where you can tell them, hey, yes, like this is going to help you get, whatever results, aesthetics you are wanting to achieve. But that's not what it's all about. And they learn through their journey that there's so many other benefits, the non-scale or non-physical benefits, that is going to leave them better off versus them going to someone, oh my gosh, I'm going to drop one name, V-Shred. That is like just so, do you guys know who I'm talking about?
No, but I'm glad I don't.
Oh my God.
I'm glad I don't.
Look it up,
yeah, I'm definitely going to look it up after. Menace is going to be mad because I'm going to be
He's like one of
triggered after this.
My friend actually used to date him, and like that's how I knew who he was. And once I started seeing his ads, I'm like, this guy is so toxic, like textbook diet culture, just like false promises, like telling people that they can eat according to their body type and like all these things, like, oh, it's so bad. So yeah, like if we don't at least like welcome them in and like say it's okay to want physical results, they're gonna go to someone else that is telling them that is so toxic and so non-scientific. So yeah, I feel like I went on a tangent there from the original question.
Hey, it's okay.
It's okay. Love it.
Yeah, we love it. But it really just goes to show there's a reason why you're able to build such a amazing, large, sustainable community, right? It's because you're not one of those people.
Yeah.
You're not someone who's going to set someone up for failure before they even get started. Right? You're going to be realistic with them, and you're going to tell them what they're really going to expect on this journey, because you've been along that journey, right?
Right. Yes.
And it's one thing to always be super shredded and super in shape and tell people like, oh, you can do it. It's another to have gone through that yourself, and to be able to really tell people like, listen, I completely understand where you're at mentally. I understand the struggle you're going through. I'm not you. Your experience is your experience, but I've gone through a similar path. And if you keep fighting and you keep working really hard, you're going to be able to come out on the other side, right? And I'm telling you that because I've been able to do that, right? And I think that it's just so, and I'll let you kind of continue on with that if you'd like, but I just want to say before we wrap things up and Mendez asked you a couple final questions here, like Anna, it's so great to be able to talk with people like yourself, especially women. And we brought this up on a couple other podcasts, right? Like in such a male dominated field, right? Fitness. To be able to see someone like yourself not being pulled in to that type of culture, right? Where it's very easy, especially as a female, to get sucked into the fit tees and the waist trainers and all of that stuff, right? To not be that person, right? Yeah. And to be able to enlighten and help so many other people grow in their own journeys is tremendous to see, and I want to thank you from that from the bottom of my heart. I
really appreciate you and what you're doing and the quality of work that you're delivering and the impact into your community.
Thank you. I mean, that means so much coming from you guys, and like it really means a lot to me. And I also thank the other women in the industry that are like Sohi Fit, Katie Crew, like so many that they are also leading the way. And I don't think that I could be doing what I do without their example either. So
we got to say once again, really appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate your time, because I know you're busy and you're a mom, and we really appreciate you, believing in our platform and wanting to be part of it, because that means a lot to us. So rapid fire questions, how we always end them. We're going to get you on this hot seat. All right. Question number 1. If you can only pick one fitness tool to use forever, which one would it be?
Oh my goodness. Rapid fire. Dumbbells.
Dumbbells. Question number 2. What was the craziest and wildest experience you ever had in your career?
Oh gosh, I thought you were going to say in my life. I was going to say shark cage diving. Absolutely. In my career. Oh my goodness. I think I'm not good at the rapid part of this. There's just so many things that come to my mind, and it might not be the craziest, but maybe just like, crazy. And like, is this my life? Is like just being able to help people who come to me and say like, you saved my life. Like you spoke to me like no one else ever did. Anytime I've ever doubted myself because I'm like, I don't know everything. And my imposter syndrome, when I get those messages, that is what is crazy and amazing. And,
there's no better feeling.
Why I'm here.
There's no better feeling.
All right, if there's one thing that you can change in the fitness industry right now, or what you'd like to see change, what would that be?
Women not being like to tell women don't be afraid to lift weights.
Love that one. And last and final question: what is the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today in one sentence?
Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Money.
Way to end it. Guys, you heard it from Anna herself. Please make sure to go check out her app. And guys, actually, Anna, let everybody know where they can find you real quick, the name of your app again, and where they can connect with you.
Yes, so I'm Anna Victoria on Instagram at Anna Victoria. And my app is at Fit Body App on Instagram or on iTunes, Google Play Store. That's about it.
You guys go check her out.
Thank you again, Anna, for coming on.
Oh, such an honor. Thank you guys so much. This was great.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Until next time, everybody.
Okay.